hard in words to explain what civic action is, because there is something magical about it that you need to experience.
For me, civic action is a powerful network of committed individuals who are up to the challenge of addressing the issues of our times.
Where are the tables that I could add my voice to? I want to talk about how do we collectively address the big issues of the day and how do we intersect between public, private, and community sectors. They're the conveners of those tables.
I know I would not be where I am today had it not been for civic action.
It's people coming from all walks of life, all backgrounds, bringing different points of view together. And there's a power to that.
We have cultural power, we have economic power, we have social power, we have diversity power. And I think civic action is really about bringing those to the fore, standing up for Toronto.
Civic action allows you to think locally, but influence nationally and internationally.
I don't know, it's just, it may seem naive, but I believe that change is possible because of the people that I get to work with in these programs, who believe that the status quo is, we can't settle for that anymore.
It's a bridge builder and gives people the opportunity to shine. It opens doors, and the people walk through those doors and do the most extraordinary things.
I think for me, Toronto was the center of this incredibly vibrant place where urbanity came together with culture, the arts, diversity, and business.
And I think Toronto's best years are ahead of it. One may look back on this time and say that we were at the dawn of a new era, and let's certainly hope so.
First and foremost, he was in love with Toronto. I mean, he grew up in Sioux City, Iowa. And when he came to Toronto, he was expecting Cleveland. He didn't know what it would look like. He thought it would be more industrial, but it turned out to be this wonderful green city with a lot of optimism, and he saw possibilities everywhere. So he was invited as a speaker to what was then called the City Summit Alliance. And of course, being a great speaker with no shortage of ideas, he blew everybody away. And he said, well, you know, if you want me to speak again, I could do that. Or if you want me to be more involved, I could do that too. Then he ends up kind of taking over the show, and the rest is history.
The founding mission was to develop an action plan to address issues that came out of a summit that was held in Toronto in 2002 that David spoke at. And he was frustrated that nothing was being done about all the issues that were identified then, and wanted to put together something to tackle issues that people had never really touched or never really thought related to the health of cities before.
The essence of what civic action was trying to do was prosecute an agenda that they didn't feel was getting enough attention, whether it was transportation infrastructure or making it easier to immigrate to Toronto or making Toronto greener. And there was a sense of, we got things done because we had a convening power that drew the relevant parties together and people got on board.
I remember when it started. I was there. It was the Toronto City Summit Alliance, and I walked in and David Pico was speaking, talking about why he loved Toronto. He didn't know me at all, and he invited me to the summit. And I said, why? And he says, because we need you. Because you bring a perspective that we don't have, and you must be at the table in order for it to be an effective table. I believe in that moment, I fell in love more with our city and with the potential and the possibility of working with civic leaders to make it better. I really believed instantly.
The very essence of the early days was really a group of people coming together to say, we have aspiration for our city, and we have aspiration for those who live here, using data to understand what real problems we're solving, understanding those who are impacted most, and understanding those who can bring impact. And that convening of a very diverse group of leaders at all levels and leaders without title has been a recipe for success.
There's nothing else like civic action. When you think about this increase in big urban complex problems, but this model of a neutral sandbox that you line with usual and unusual suspects, and you have a timeline for stuff you have to get done because you hit Control-Alt-Delete and reset the issues you're going to work on every 4 years, there's nothing else like it.
The tone at a city summit is definitely electric. It's a lot of energy and brings everyone around the table. And I think that's really where Civic Action is able to spark the dialogue that creates the action.
City building takes trust, and there's nothing like being in spaces where you can take off your normal business persona and really roll up your sleeves with other leaders and figure out how are we going to solve problems creatively. Listening to each other, putting some ideas at the table, that's how you build civic muscle.
I don't know any other event in the city where you could go and potentially be at the coffee stand, standing beside the mayor, the chief of police, and a youth leader who's tackling violence in Rexdale. The diversity of the views, the diversity of the experiences in the room is so compelling. It's so awe-inspiring.
It's like the best ever family reunion, but a family that you never knew you had. And it works because it taps into the best thinking and the biggest aspirations of everybody involved. And when you put those people together, you get something that's so much bigger than the sum of the parts.
I just believe in the limitless potential of Toronto and its people. You know, there's so many things, attracting new companies here, creating jobs here. We haven't even touched on Luminato, which brings the creative arts community alive in our city.
I think there's so much talent here. Why wouldn't we really work to notice and celebrate that? So energy, our personal energy, plus the energy of all of us collectively, is what we should be hopeful about. And that is what storytelling, reflection back, deep thinking, and also just frivolous fun can do for us. Exposing ideas and stories to people who might not know each other, and we're shining a big bright light on the city so the whole world can go, what the heck is happening in Toronto these days? Why do those people feel so optimistic? That's what I think Luminato was doing, that's in parallel to Civic Action. And we were a brainchild of the same godparents.
We have a unique opportunity in the Toronto region because of the makeup of who's here, but we are still a region where it matters who you know and who can help to open a door and who can help to vouch for you, and having those relationships among peers, but also with senior leaders who could mentor upcoming leaders makes a big difference.
If you come from a community or a family that is not connected to where money and power sits, it's difficult to understand how to navigate it, to actually decode how power is distributed in the city region. And as someone, not born here, my family's not from here, the ability to feel like you belong and you're not an imposter, that is all part of the leadership journey that allows talent and energy to rise.
While much of Civic Action is project-focused, the investment in emerging leaders is not, and that endures.
So when you take a look at convening the stakeholders, empowering a new generation of leaders, and encouraging diverse Torontonians and Canadians, which are increasingly making up the majority of our population, to take their place and sort of be an ally that paves the road forward for them, that's how I look at Civic Action and the impact that it has.
Through the work that we do with emerging leaders, through our Diversity Fellows program, we're really seeing these bright, young, caring leaders who want to do great things show up, learn, network, and be part of these great solutions.
What's amazing is that everybody comes from different walks of life. So we have, diversity of thought, diversity of experience, and being able to see yourself in different places, different sectors, different industries, different seats of leadership is an opportunity for us to share our perspectives and to activate.
It was such an unbelievable opportunity for me at that point in my career to be sitting on a board with the then-to-be mayor of the city of Toronto, or, a CEO of a major bank. These opportunities to, not just in a networking capacity, but in a problem-solving capacity, bring minds together.
When you're from a nonprofit space, getting access to folks in private and public sectors just wasn't something that was easily attainable. And that's what Civic Action, I think, does really well, creating the opportunity and the windows or the doors with equity-deserving populations. It gives individuals like myself access to people who not just want to do the right thing, but are actually trying to make our city better, one leader at a time.
It's easy to start on a journey, but to do that year after year, decade after decade, is really about stamina, the commitment, and the purpose of people in this city.
It's really nice to see that even 20 years after the inception, this thing is still rolling along and getting things done. Yeah, there aren't many things that have that kind of endurance.
Its longevity is proof that it continues to exist for a reason. It continues to do good work and get stuff done.
I think it's all a miracle. The fact that it was conceived in the first place is miraculous, and that it's here 20 years later and flourishing and relevant and active. We should really celebrate that.
That to which we give our energy grows. And so Civic Action has had the energy of, well, thousands of people over these 20 years, and it will take the energy of thousands more people over the next 20 to meet the challenges that are coming. And make no mistake, the challenges that will be greeted in the next 2 decades are way harder.
We've had 20 years to do a lot of very good things, almost practicing. Now let's take it out for a ride.
If you care about your city and you care about where you live and you want it to continue to thrive, this is the organization to do it through.
There's future me's out there that need connections, that need opportunities, so I hope they keep going.
This organization can go many, many places because it does trigger the power of the imagination. And when people with like minds act together, we can move mountains.